All right, we're live. All right. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to a regular meeting of the Silverton Housing Authority. It is June 22nd and the time is 5:06 p.m. And I call this meeting to order. Roll call, please.
Present.
Brush.
Here.
Absent. Trustee Alverson.
Here.
Trustee Wakefield.
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Schaefer.
Here. I'm here. Perfect. Thank you so much. Do we have any staff or board revisions to the agenda this evening?
I do. I don't know why it did this when we converted it from the agenda from a Word document to a PDF, but it says public comment must be limited to 3, in parentheses 9 minutes in duration. So that should just be corrected to 3 in parentheses.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah, on mine it says 3. It didn't transfer a 9 over.
Oh, it does on the town agenda. Looks good, but the housing authority agenda.
Oh,
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's funny.
You made that correction. We're good. All right. Seeing no additional staff or board revisions, let's move on to public comment. Opening up public comment. Are you in person or online? Please state your name. You have 3 minutes to speak. Perfect. Seeing no one in person, let's go online. Seeing no one there either. We are closing public comment and moving on. First agenda item, which is agenda item number 4, approval of the June 8th, 2026 meeting minutes.
Motion to approve the minutes from June 8th.
Second. Let the roll call, please.
Yes. Trustee Brush.
Yes.
Trustee Alverson. Yes. Trustee Wakefield. Mayor Pro Tem Schaefer.
Yes. Yes. Perfect. Moving on to item number 5. Grievance hearing. Thank you, Director Ann. We have a fancy script here that I will read. I appreciate you for that. Okie dokie, here we go. I'd like to call this grievance hearing to order. Today is Monday, June 22nd, 2026. I am serving as the hearing officer for this matter pursuant to section 109-3-3 of the Silverton Affordable Housing Guidelines. This meeting has been convened to consider a grievance filed by Mr. Jeffrey Rome against the Silverton Housing Authority. This hearing is being recorded. At the close of the hearing, the SHA board will issue a determination. That determination will be binding on both parties until timely appeal. Perfect. Statement of the matter. Mr. Jeffrey Rome closed on 107 Martha Rose Street, Unit D on June 12th, 2026. He has filed a grievance requesting that the SHA pay him $654.60, representing the difference between his monthly rent and his new mortgage payment for the 30-day period between his preferred closing date of May 12th, 2026, and his actual closing date of June 12th, 2026. Mr. Rome attributes this delay to an alleged, eligibility issue arising between SHA and the Colorado Department of Housing. Staff has confirmed that this grievance meets the submission requirements of section 109.4 of the Silverton Affordable Housing Guidelines. We will now hear from staff, followed by Mr. Rome, and then allow each party an opportunity to respond. I'll turn it over to SHA staff, Ms. Chase. Please present the background and staff's position.
Great. So I will walk through how we got here and what we have already done to address the situation, and then focus on what the board is being asked to decide today. So Mr. Rome applied for the Anfield Townhomes program back in October of last year. His application listed a 2-person household, but he only included documentation for 1 person. So I processed it as a 1-person household based on the information that was provided. He placed second in the waitlist drawing back in December. This buyer file went to the Division of Housing. They approved it in January of this year. They approved it as a one-person household. And then in April, we resubmitted the file to CDOH to reflect a two-person household. And that is where the issue started. And so on May 5th, the state came back and told us for the first time that this project is subject to a separate set of CDOH guidelines beyond the grant agreement and the use covenant. These guidelines are called the Revolving Loan Fund Guidelines, or the RLF guidelines. And those are tied to the grant agreement and the use covenant for Anvil townhomes. But again, we had never seen those before. And so the Division of Housing has reviewed and approved the Silverton Affordable Housing Guidelines. And so we used our guidelines to qualify Jeff based on these approved guidelines, our approved guidelines that the state had already given the okay. And so we didn't know that CDOH had a separate set of guidelines that we were supposed to be applying to this project. And so under the new guidelines, the RLF guidelines, the two-person household was over an eligibility limit. And so CDOH denied him on that basis. And then that decision was issued. And so we could not close on May 12th. So Jeff and I worked together. I encouraged him to reapply. I spoke to CDOH, and his application was approved. His second application was approved on, oh, I don't have it right in front of me, but it was approved and we closed very shortly after. And, you know, just for what it's worth, the state has acknowledged sort of their role in all of this. And so moving forward, they've agreed to waive an asset limit that's in the RLF guidelines for the remaining units in our project, because they recognize that we never knew about these RLF guidelines and they had approved our guidelines in the first place. And so recognizing that the delay in closing had implications on Jeff and his household, I took the initiative to provide a remedy to cover the additional expenses of extending Jeff's mortgage rate lock to hold his interest rate for 30 days. And that cost $633.94. So the Housing Authority has already paid that. We paid it at closing. And it was clear to me that the Housing Authority should absorb that fee rather than Mr. Rome, because the fault is ours, even though we were unaware of these guidelines. And so Jeff was here today to request that the difference that he was paying in rent versus what his new mortgage would have been based on that 30-day difference between May 12th and June 12th. And the difference between those two is $654.61 a month. And so he's asking for $654.60. And I want to make sure that the board has the full budget picture in mind before making a decision. And so we have a citizen engagement line item in our 2026 budget for $1,500 total. And so I've already applied that $633 rate lock extension fee to that line item. And so there's about $845 left, including the additional expenses that have already been spent on that line item. And so if we honor this request, we will have spent about 85% of that entire line item on one individual. And that's our only option. Our training and operation line items are looking really good. So they could potentially help absorb some of that expense if the board decides to go that direction. It definitely put a dent in those budgets for the rest of the year, but it is manageable. And so we're expecting some revenue from the Anvil Townhomes development, but we're not sure what that number will be yet. And that's based on whatever's left in the contingency when the project wraps up, but we don't have that number yet. So I advise that we don't consider this request in light of like the Anvil Townhomes budget because we don't have a clear idea of what we're working with at this point. So the summary here is that there's a conflict between our guidelines and the state guidelines that we didn't know about, and it caused a 30-day delay in closing. We've already covered the rate lock fee. And so the question before the board is whether it's appropriate to also cover the $654.60 in the housing cost difference that Mr. Rome experienced during that closing delay. So with that, I will send it back to you, Jim.
Perfect, thank you. Are there any questions for staff?
I have a question.
Ma'am.
What are some other things that money might be needed for? Or is it like for stuff like this?
Great question.
When I drafted this budget, it was not intended to, like, grievance fees or grievance remedies were always something that I was considering, but not something that I like specifically budgeted for. And so citizen engagement efforts go towards covering the fees for homebuyer education, any future outreach we do, covering expenses like publishing in the newspaper, social media. That's under the citizen engagement, and then operational is like subscriptions to translating services and accessibility services and anything else that comes up related to that. Yeah.
Any other
Does that
questions?
answer your question?
Oh, did that answer?
Yeah,
Okay.
thank you.
Sorry. Any other questions or comments? Seeing none, terrific. Mr. Rome, you now have this opportunity to present your grievance. Please describe the impact closing delay had on you and why you believe the SHA should cover the requested amount.
Thank you for taking the time to go over this. I see this more, I do have a grievance, but I see this more as an opportunity to provide some input on clarification needed in the SHA guidelines. It's a big packet. I pulled out a select few pages. So from the get-go, I did apply as a one-person household. My partner, Asher, she has been unemployed for a while. I was unclear on if that would mean she would need to sign up for a mortgage or be on the lease. So I felt one-person household was the way to go. I knew that she would have to be on a lease with me as the landlord. I didn't realize until April that it also had some additional rules, which are very unclear in the SHA guidelines. So if you look on page 17, I might be the only one with the copy of the guidelines, but page 17 of the SHA guidelines implies that a tenant is someone who is there while the owner is not present. It talks about having an approved leave of absence or the rental procedure. So I still don't think that Ash would need to be a tenant because I'm living there. But the big thing that that brings into concern, and the whole reason that we decided to not have her be on a lease and go with the 2-person household and it caused 30-day delay was that according to the SHA guidelines, tenants every 2 years, that's the maximum lease allowed in here. Every 2 years, they must re-verify their income. If their income goes above the rental unit, ours is an 80% AMI, you no longer qualify to live there. So in my head, it created this thing where, well, if Ash does get a well-paying job, he has to leave. And from my understanding, that's under no circumstance is she allowed to stay if she would have been a tenant and gone above the 80% limit. If we had a kid, too bad. I don't think that's the way it should be. I don't think that's the way it is. But the guidelines are very unclear. So that's why we decided to reapply for a 2-person household, and that caused a 30-day delay. I just want to put that note in there. But that's it.
Perfect. Thank you, Jeff. Any questions for Mr. Rome? No questions at all. Great.
Question, sorry. I'm
jump
just
in.
curious if you feel that you've gotten clarification on any of that since then.
No,
Okay,
no, I still, from my understanding, it's still so like Marshall owns the other house. And then my understanding, if someone were to move in with them, even if there were to be a partner, like in a relationship, if that person went above, I believe his unit's 100% AMI, if their income went above 100% AMI, he'd have to leave. Or he has to restrict his dating pool to people below 100% AMI. It doesn't seem to, I'm not clear on the rules, and that's my current understanding.
okay,
Perfect.
thanks.
Do we have clarity on that ourselves? I walk in late, so.
And do we have clarity on that?
Question.
I do. Okay, so this is a very complicated subject where I am trying to be really careful about what I say because I do not want to show that there is any conflict between the Silverton Housing Authority's affordability covenants and the DOH covenant that is also recorded on the properties. Our guidelines are written as such so that we can provide some flexibility if someone can no longer fulfill the primary residence and owner occupied provision of the covenants. So they have to apply for a leave of absence. And in some instances, if they apply for a leave of absence, we may condition that decision based on having someone live there full time. Something like these homes need to be occupied or sold to individuals who meet the AMI restriction of the property. That is the basis of our agreement with the state. That is the basis of our covenants and agreement with San Juan County. And we need to have our guidelines written in a way that prevents owners from renting these properties and charging more money than what would be considered an affordable rent. And so these are the things that we need to ensure. And I will be the first to say that I completely recognize that these are challenging to enforce and honestly just unfortunate. And I do agree that we could go back and clarify. But I want to say that the guidelines are written as they are to stay in compliance with our grant agreement.
So this would be a special circumstance, is what you're saying?
It's a special circumstance in the case that someone moves into a home that wasn't qualified as part of the initial household qualification.
Thank
Does
you.
that answer your question?
Yeah.
Great. And I will say that this is standard for all income restricted affordable rentals. And then I can't say that same certainty for all home ownership projects because each one is different. But the income checking, like in Crested Butte, for example, if you buy a house, you have to work a certain number, you have to earn a certain number of your income from an employer located in Gunnison County. If that changes at any time during your ownership, you have to sell the house. And so that is, I don't agree with that. That's not how our covenants are set up at all. But these are just the challenging provisions that need to be on these properties, in our case, in order to stay compliant with the regulations surrounding our grant money in these properties.
With the owner of the house living there, it's any other person that lives in the house, partner or not partner, has to also qualify for their income has to qualify for the AMI.
Yeah, so when a household applies to buy a house, you need to include the income of all people over the age of 18 in the household. So say like a mom, a dad, and a kid apply. Mom's the sole income earner, dad's unemployed, kid is under 18. They're still included in the income calculation as the qualifying household. So if anyone moves into the property that was not part of the initial qualifying household, our guidelines state that they need to meet the AMI restriction, the income restriction on the property that they're moving into.
See?
And I'm just gonna, like, Jeff, thank you for bringing this to us. This was a great time to share this. At the same time, I don't know that this information is particularly pertinent to the grievance hearing. And so just for the sake of staying on track here, I would suggest to the board to consider the specific grievance request at hand during this time, and then you can give me direction to circle back on the rental procedure of the guidelines at a later date.
Perfect.
Thank you, Anne. Any other questions or
If I try to
comments?
summarize, just to see if it totally makes sense.
Oh, yeah, go for
So
it.
there was Jeff was in a situation on a timeline where he started to understand the repercussions of, what he had signed versus what may happen. And the circumstances change, how that would play out and not probably in his favor or to not his favor, which then delayed the closing to the point where he had to, cover extra rent. Is that correct?
I'm seeing no.
I don't think so. I don't think so. I think the real issue came from the housing authority qualifying Jeff based on our guidelines that did not fully encompass the qualification standards of this separate set of guidelines that the state has that the housing authority was not aware of. And so Jeff had to resubmit his application in light of these new guidelines in order to qualify under these new guidelines. And so that is what caused the 30-day delay. Does that make sense?
Anyone else? Well, there is a motion in your packet, page 8.
I guess, and one more question. So just trying to think of like what's like analogous to us. Like, do you know if something like a bank who made some sort of approval, got things processed, and then there was a delay? Would this be something like in the private world that someone else would cover? Or would this be something that the person purchasing that house would have to cover?
Closing delays are an inherent risk of buying and selling a home. That falls squarely on the buyer and the seller for their own individual risk.
Thank you.
My opinion is I'm inclined that if it was a avoidable error on the housing authority, that they weren't aware of something, but then they became aware of it, and Jeff had no part in that, that he shouldn't be responsible for the financial repercussions of that error. That's my opinion.
Would you like to make a motion? Yes, sir.
I'd motion to approve Jeff Rome's grievance request of $654.60.
All right, we got a motion. Do we have a second? Second. Right on, roll call, please.
Trustee Huber?
Yes.
Trustee Brush?
Yes.
Trustee Brown?
Yes.
Whitfield?
Yes.
Burton Schneider?
Yes.
Mayor Harper?
Yes. The motion passed unanimous. Congratulations, sir.
Jeff, I will follow up with you tomorrow.
Good. I guess that concludes the grievance committee. All right, moving on to agenda item number 6, Housing Authority Director Job Description.
Yes, so in front of you is a job description. It's updated from, or sorry, it's not updated. This is the first draft that I'm putting in front of you. Some things that need board direction are who will be on the hiring committee and up to what dollar amount are you willing to put forth towards this hiring and advertising effort? Just so that staff has a clear direction on how to proceed with advertising and hiring. And I need direction on when you would like the job description or the application period to be open, the duration of the application period, and then an ideal hire date.
Questions, comments?
I'm pretty nervous just about the timing of how we're waiting for the grant to fund the job, and then if worst case scenario, we don't get the grant, then this person could find themselves that took the job, could find themselves in a situation where the job's taken from them, at the end of, what is it, 14 more pay periods, we have funding for it. And if I don't have that right, but just that we would be then either committing to coming up with a whole bunch more money. Which it sounds like the county is willing to help us with some of this, but you know, it just seems like we get in a sticky situation. I just didn't know if there's any way to try to line up that hiring process to when we would know that answer, so then we can commit to this potential hire for like, you know, longer term, whether it's 2 years or something that seems like a reasonable amount of time if you're wanting to move somewhere and take a job. If there's any way to like bridge that gap or minimize some of that risk for the town to have to come up with how to potentially fund this, you know, very, very expensive position, which I think will be hard for this town to fund without grant funding. And then also to protect that risk from the potential hiree, so that down the road, like, as I said, that the job isn't kind of pulled away from them if we lose funding. So I don't know if there is any way or mechanisms or anything like that where we could get creative to mitigate that risk. But that was just a thought I had.
I'm nervous as well. One potential scenario is we employ somebody, they're in a 1-year contract, you know, 1-year term. And does the funding, you know, fall through or disappear, you know, before that term is up? And we guarantee that they were gonna have a 1-year salary. You know, do they have any repercussions to legally to come back and say, hey, this is my contract, here, come with money?
We're in, I mean, in that little state, right? So I don't know if we necessarily. There's like a contracted position, right? It's like full-time salary, and if we're at will and unable to pay, I don't know if that's necessarily a risk. I will say I do like, when you're thinking about, the town was thinking about Ann's position at first, it did come with the kind of like a fund your own salary kind of thing. And there were mechanisms of like, that's why grants are in the job description. So like, I hear that. I also think that's part of the role, is helping fund your own position and finding those opportunities. And it does seem like the county is more involved. So it feels less, like a little less risky than even like the first time. And like the first time this position opened up.
I think the other contract with that, it has to be very clear that there's no guarantee for a 1-year salary. And
Like we're out with it. So it wouldn't necessarily be, it's not like a contracted position.
It's not a contracted position, and it's, I mean, if you prioritize a position, then we figure out how to fund it, you have to cut something else. But this position is really important. So if that's the move, then I think that's something you should consider, whether there's grant funding or not.
We have just over 60 days with you, right? Before your
Yes,
departure?
That's crazy. Yeah.
I know. Absolutely. We're all very sad on the
No,
inside.
I just got panicked. That is not that long, and I got a lot of stuff to do.
My question, and I don't know, maybe just comment, is I really, our last meeting on the 15th, when we had the big joint town county meeting, and listening to their thoughts, wishes on this, I'd really like to have one more meeting between the town and county to get to shore up those funds, to make sure they're there, their half of it and our half of it, before we post this. I know that's gonna cut it pretty close to your departure date, but I just think that way we'll have a better understanding of the money in the pot, just for lack of better words.
I agree.
I think that's good because P and O committee will meet too before that.
And do you feel like, let's say this role gets hired after you, what's like the operational risk of not having someone and like having a gap between you and this person?
Yeah, I think mitigating the risk associated with not having committed funding at this point in time to the position is a trade-off in risk, because your risk increases for your capacity and ability to fulfill the organization's debts and liabilities, right? And so it's kind of like choose your flavor of risk. And like I was hired knowing that there was limited funding for my position. Part of the job description was to find my own funding, and here I am 3 years later. And so we can clearly spell that out in the job description if that makes the board feel more comfortable. And at the same time, if say the start date is September 1 and the local planning capacity grant is scheduled to be fully expended by July, that's 2 months of salary that the board would have to cover. And I don't have that number off the top of my head, but I can in a second. But that is a much more reasonable expense, in my opinion, that the housing authority or the town could include in the 2027 budget. And by the time September 2027 rolls around, there will have been 2 different local planning capacity grant funding cycles. And so, like I said, at this point, I have no reason to believe that we won't get awarded the local planning capacity grant. It is a risk. But yeah, it's choosing where you want to mitigate your risk. Is it in the position sustainability, or is it in fulfilling our debts and obligations?
I feel good about the way the job description is written. I think that keeping this position filled is the right move.
I think, yeah, losing momentum is, and I think this is gonna be hard even at this timeline, but Anna's a lot of knowledge in her brain, and losing that capacity loses a lot of momentum. So I think it's even like trying to figure out how to hire someone sooner rather than later to even just pass on that knowledge will be pretty key for the role. You know, especially when applying for grants, they like to see kind of consistency overall, that the position is a priority for the town. I am curious, Anne, like, do you think there is like interest in this role? Like, is there appetite? Is this going to be a challenging hiring process? Is this going to be? I'm a little bit worried no one wants to apply for it.
Yeah. I have had 2 individuals reach out to me expressing interest in applying. I will say, so Housing Colorado has a page with job descriptions listed or job applications listed. And right now, there's 1, 2, 3, 4 jobs across the state that are fairly similar to this. And I don't know if they're having challenges hiring, but they are all they might be right on board with our price. I mean, our salary. So I don't know. I think it depends on how open the board is to hybrid positions. But yeah, I think there has been expressed interest, but I don't know what that'll translate to.
And just to touch on the prospect of speaking with the county, having further conversations with the county before moving ahead with a job posting. Not speak for the county, but if whether their commitment or the amount of their commitment is contingent upon the lodging tax increase going to, if that's approved, or that will be on the ballot, if that's approved, if that's something that they need to sort out first before, firm commitments are made, then that is, very much pushing this, back to a point where, we won't have any sort of, overlap with Anne or be able to tap into any sort of cross-training opportunities. So not 100% sure about the feasibility of having those conversations before in an expedited timeline. Certainly a question right there.
I think our responsibility are to the taxpayers, and we need to make sure that this can be funded before we go ahead and hire somebody.
If Anne hadn't decided that she was gonna leave, the status quo would have been that that person would have had to fulfill their own salary anyway, correct? And so I guess while it is a risk, I just feel that it's actually not really changing that much. It's just gonna be a different person. That
Her salary's also been frozen for the last 3 years. She hasn't gotten a raise. So it would be prudent to probably bump it up a little bit compared to.
is the salary on this job description higher than the current salary? Okay,
Yeah, so it was at 60 and now it's 80.
okay. And
And that's consistent across the state.
Mhm. So yes.
That's low.
I agree with
I'll
it.
say that the salary range is low.
I think we're still missing a key conversation too. One is, well, we've heard from the county that, they're willing to jump in probably at a minimum. If I'm telling me I'm wrong, that match us if we're able to. But we need to look at where we stand financially in this first quarter. I just got the March financials from me from today here. And we're certainly not ahead. Of where we should be. And it's difficult to interpret in terms of the time of the year when money comes in, flowing into the summer and so forth. So we don't have a great financial picture of where 2026 stands just yet, but we're certainly not ahead anywhere. So I would say we need to understand our current financial position in more detail, and that can be done fairly quickly. So we have all the information we need to make a choice on what the financial risk might be.
I guess are we contemplating not filling this role?
I'm just contemplating getting financials.
Yeah,
We
that's a separate conversation than because I think we were all I think we had some initial alignment around continuing to move forward the role. So I think that's why Anne was looking for direction here, but I think that's kind of separate than what we were shooting for today. I mean, it obviously is.
Yeah, my sense is that we put a job posting out, if we don't actually know where our budget stands, as that job posting goes out, that's irresponsible. That's it.
It's not a total question mark either, right? We have these sources of funding that are on the horizon that we believe have a good shot of materializing for us.
And they have funded her position for the last 3 years.
yeah, because I guess that was
It's 2
nice.
cycles a year.
Yeah, I guess
It's not guaranteed, though. I
Not guaranteed.
understand that.
I hear the risk. I also think that has always been an inherent risk in this role is can we continue to fund it? And we have been able to. Whereas I think my worry was we don't find someone, by and leaving. And then now how do we administer new applications for, the houses that we built? How do we figure out all of these other administrative tasks? That to me is more concerning to fall behind in terms of compliance. Then, yeah.
Can we do cross-training with anybody?
Well, that's the thing. We need to hire someone before she's gone. Because otherwise,
Cross-train somebody that's already here.
I don't think anybody in this building has the capacity for that, to be honest with you.
Yeah, that would, if we're looking to have in-house staff cover the work that Anne's doing, related to the townhomes, this new ADU grant, yeah, we'd be short on capacity.
Would we have to find additional staff support to fill that capacity need?
Yeah, one way or the other, whether that's, yeah, well, and then just with the specific knowledge and expertise and has with, you know, with the processing the applications and all that goes into that. I think it'd be a stretch.
Is there the part-time option?
There's a bridge to next year, you know, knowing that this is a full-time position. But if we have a bridge to get us with less risk to a point where we totally see the financials in front of us, grant has been approved, is there a part-time option for this? 6 months or something?
Yeah, so like bringing in someone, hiring someone part-time, you know, I would have concerns about us being able to attract someone for a part-time position that has that experience where they could just hit the ground running, and pick up where Anne's leaving off.
Could it be in a job description though? Doesn't detract from the job description.
Well, if we're gonna just put it in the job description, can't we just put what we put for Ann, that it's a fund your own position through
Well,
grant funding?
I guess my thought is
That we would be better capable of floating the worst case scenario in a part-time position
Yeah,
than relying on somebody to fund their own, getting out of the gate.
assuming that they're already up to speed with how to get their grants and fund their own.
That to me sounds like a lengthy process if they're just getting started with the job.
I'd worry about the retraining twice in that scenario.
and do the other job descriptions that you were seeing on that website, like do they have anything emphasized on there about like needing to get grant money if you want to have a job?
There's one posted right now that said it's completely contingent upon award of the local planning capacity grant.
Cause we could put something like that and like see, I mean,
that was.
guys, we could also know and
Job
apply
description.
for the job.
Yeah,
I would be totally,
But I'd want to be totally honest.
When would this?
Yeah, definitely.
that seems like a good line to add there. Like, I think, I like, you know, I work for a nonprofit, I have to fund my own position, like, I have to go out and fundraise for not only myself, but my whole team, like, as on my plate, and so I don't think it's unreasonable in a similar scenario of like, that is a requirement of the job,
Yeah.
so we can just pop that in there.
When would the posting go out? Job posting.
One of the things that she's asked direction. on.
So if you had approval today, put it out when? Hypothetically.
Send it to the paper tomorrow. Tuesday is a paper.
Okay, so this would be immediate. Okay,
Could be immediate, yes.
thank you. From our conversation last Monday with the county, I felt like it was understood that we would have further conversation about this position, but more importantly, the funding of this position. And reading the room, it felt like there wasn't, that there was, I shouldn't say wasn't, that there was a little bit of pushback with regards to funding this position at the new higher dollar amount, but maybe not as much pushback or any pushback at all if we posted this at the existing dollar amount in the job description. Are we available to do that? Or would that be discouraging a certain group of people?
Are you asking me?
I think I already know the answer, but.
Like, I'm looking at job descriptions right now on the Housing Colorado page. The executive director for the Fraser River Valley Housing Partnership range is $100,000 to $180,000 per year. Town of Lake City, $100,000. City of Golden, this is more comparable actually, 76 to 91. So
Maybe a larger
the current,
range, Jim, and then adding in like that, called like a level in the selection process around getting to a higher range if they have a track record of, you know, being able to write well written grants and bring in that funding.
No, and I don't see anything, I don't see any problem with that. My concern and my rationale for what I'm saying is I felt like we had an understanding at our joint meeting. And my interpretation of that is that we gave them our word. And I don't want to deflect from that. I don't want to move away from that. We said that we would all come together and have a conversation, and I'm going to hold them to that. And I think they're going to hold us to that as well. And I think that's the right thing to do. Obviously, maybe I'm wrong, and that's why we have 7 members that can give direction or vote. My only concern is that we came to an agreement and now we're going to push past that agreement. So, there is
What would the next conversation be?
well, and I think that's, as Elizabeth said, that's gonna be probably further out than we thought.
I think we could certainly reach out to the county and see if the timing is right, if they have the availability, if they have solidified numbers potentially before any potential lodging tax increase is on a ballot. So, yeah.
That's not until the November ballot.
Yes.
Right.
So if they, based on that, if they're ready to have that conversation sooner than this fall.
Jim, can I ask you a question?
Yes.
So I think, are you trying to get clarity on if the county, where they'd be able to fund at that lower, higher level of funding from their bucket, but what they would be comfortable in that 60 to 80K salary? Like, is that what you're trying to, okay, yeah.
It seemed like to me in that conversation that they had the
Yeah, go.
appetite to help out. You know, it's like whether it would be, you know, helping with the gap in the new salary and the grant funding needed to raise up to that salary, or even if we didn't get awarded the grant, and that it seemed like they really prioritized the position and making sure we don't lose step of that. So I know that's very, you know, anecdotal, but it seemed like, you know, they are, without saying as much, you know, willing to help out extensively with this. So that part of it, you know, I feel pretty good about. I was just hoping that there was some sort of mechanism to, you know, bridge the gap again to when we would know that we would get that the grant or not. But again, if it's in the job description, that sort of satisfies that concern. So,
Ron, if in the language it's stated it's a fully, you know, self-funded grant, that's part of their roles to fund their own job. Does that
I would
make
be
you more
good with
comfortable?
that.
Yeah, I'm good with that as well.
It's like that similar line that was in there of like, this position is like dependent on the local capacity planning grant. Yeah, that makes sense.
Are we providing?
Wait, so no, not right. That's also for funding their own role, not the specific, just one grant.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
okay.
Procedural question, are we providing direction or motion on one separately than 2, or just 1 and 2 at the same time?
I think.
And then Anne had a note.
Sorry?
Anne had
Asking for direction.
Okay,
Can I clarify something real quick?
yeah.
Well, I tried to talk in.
Jump in and yell at us. Your
To be
meeting.
clear, we would hire someone, like ideally, like, I don't know, whatever week that is. The last week of August. But I think we need to at least say, like, this job position is funded for either 10 months or 12 months. Because if it's truly contingent on the local planning capacity grant, then they couldn't be hired until award notification, which will be in October. And so at this point, like, the board needs to some level commit to either being like, we can fund this position for 10 months, or we can fund this position for 12 months. And then beyond that, this position is responsible for funding their own position. Does that make sense?
I don't think we can commit. The worst case scenario, the grant doesn't come through. Now the town's on the hook for X until the grant season next year. And this is where I think we have to talk to the county before we ever made that claim.
Well, with just the existing local planning capacity grant, we can fund.
We have
Next.
10
Okay,
months. The grant does last. them.
Okay.
Yeah,
That's
if you
what I-
wanted to extend that for just to round it out to 12 months, then the town would have to.
We would be committing to cover the 2 months. If we wanted to say 1 year.
Yeah.
Which might not happen if we get the grant.
Hopefully won't.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay,
Okay,
Sounds like we're all in agreement with number one.
like,
yeah.
no, that's like a B plus if you were grading. it. Oh,
What she said.
Right.
So then we can jump into number two, which is, the hiring committee. You're just trying to make it hard on us, Ann.
I need direction.
I think definitely adding someone from the community, super helpful, especially like the county or that was super helpful, I think, in the town administrator role. I would really recommend that.
And if it was a county commissioner, it would really get their kind of
Yeah.
juices flowing and their skin in the game a little bit,
Yeah.
you know.
I would say keep it small
I do-
still, but go
I
ahead.
want
Ann.
to clarify. Elizabeth probably definitely needs to be on the board. I shouldn't even made that an option because this position reports to her. So I just wanted to clarify that.
Be D plus a county commissioner.
What'd you say, B?
That D.
Yeah, to be okay
Oh.
with it.
Yeah, they board with
Plus
someone
the-
from the county.
Mhm.
I think Melina, you have a lot on your plate. I don't know. if That's necessary.
I'm fine with that.
Yeah.
So we're saying
A
Board of
plus-
Trustees,
A plus D.
Elizabeth. Yes, A plus D
Got it.
equals
Like,
Housing Authority Board. All right,
You want, who do you?
is there a clear direction? Have we presented clear?
what'd you say?
Want, like from the county?
Whoever will take.
You want to just ask that you want us to just reach out and see, do it?
I mean, a commissioner would be great, but
Right, obviously.
yeah. They're also busy.
Yeah.
They want to help, they don't want to have an extra meeting.
Yeah, well, Willie joined for Elizabeth's hiring. That was put in the effort.
Yeah, I think we'll get somebody.
And hopefully we get someone that applies for the job, you know?
We're like 5 people.
Yeah, 7,
Even 8.
yeah.
So we feel good with the direction. Okay.
We're, no.
And you feel good with the direction?
Just to clarify, we hire immediately, or we post the application immediately, and ideal hire date is the last week of August. That's what I heard.
Yeah.
I believe that's what everyone said, correct?
Yes,
Does that give you enough overlap time?
yeah.
Give
That's my
overlap.
question.
That's up to you guys.
I think let's aim for 2 weeks overlap. How about that?
Yeah,
I mean, this is gonna be really, this is.
been onboarding.
Yeah,
that situation.
this is a quick,
When do you, yeah.
I can't even hire an intern in 2 months, you know.
I tried to.
Yeah, but I do think this is
Competitive, she'll even
you know.
offer from her, didn't.
Salary benefits are good. It's, yeah, you're not gonna compete with Boulder, but like, that's not who we're competing with. I
Like-
think that if there's people out there, hopefully they see this posting and,
Lake City's at 100, how did that?
yeah.
From that guy.
They kept on my trees.
So we have direction. Everyone's feeling comfortable. All right.
And then,
So agenda
sorry,
item-
one more thing.
Oh,
Is,
you got me again.
is, do you guys have a set amount that we are directed to spend on advertising this position? Like up to what amount?
What have we done in the past?
I mean, I think all of our line items that we could put that in are pretty healthy right now, and it doesn't have to go in housing authority advertising, we can put it in general government advertising if need be. I guess
That works for
better
me.
question is how far do you want us to cast the net? We can, we can advertise all the way to Albuquerque.
To infinity and beyond.
How far do you want us to post?
What do you say? I said worldwide.
Oh.
So this would be mostly a LinkedIn cost, I'm guessing?
I don't think we can afford LinkedIn, but we can afford online advertising with all of the publications in the area. So Durango, Montrose, we can go as far as like Albuquerque. But yeah. I don't know if we have a LinkedIn. We might have a LinkedIn account. I'm not sure.
I just didn't know
We do.
what. If,
Yeah, a hiring pro version from LinkedIn. I'd say.
It doesn't
Go
say how
on.
much it is. I couldn't get a quote for hiring pro from LinkedIn. So
We're gonna end up getting applications from like,
That's something y'all can handle internally, right?
yeah.
Yeah, okay, perfect. Okay, so we have direction. We feel really good. So we have agenda item number 6 is complete. We're going to open it back up to public comment. Thank you, Ann.
thank
Open
you.
it back up to public comment. I don't see any public comment. We'll go online. Don't see any public comment there. Seeing no other public comment, we'll close public comment. Any questions or comments? If not, we will close the meeting. All right, perfect. It is 6:08 PM and I adjourn this meeting of the Silverton Housing Authority. Let's take 5 minutes. How's that?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Ann.
Thank you.
Direction given keeps that.
Hello, everyone. Good evening and welcome. Those of you who would like to stand for the Pledge of Allegiance, do so now.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We're looking good. We're all back. All right. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to a regular meeting of the Silverton Board of Trustees. It's June 22nd and the time is 6:18 p.m. And I call this meeting to order. Melina, roll call, please.
Present.
Brush,
Here.
Brown,
Here.
Patterson. Here. Sweeten.
Yes.
Tim Schiffman.
Here.
Harper.
Here. Perfect. Do we have any board or staff revisions to the agenda this evening? We do not. All right. Moving right along. We will start with in-person comment, followed by online comment. For those of you in person that would like to make a public comment, please state your name and you have 3 minutes.
Do we do comments now or something later on the agenda?
You can,
Or do we wait until it comes out?
or you can wait till the end of the meeting.
Do 3 minutes at the beginning and 3 minutes at the end.
Oh, all right, well, I can start then.
Welcome, sir.
The last ladies first. Okay, all right. My name is Jay Maholka. Do you want my address and stuff? Call to order, whatever. I don't know what
Sure.
the process is.
I don't need it.
No,
I don't think so.
1672 Ironton Street, Montrose, Colorado. So,
Welcome, sir.
thank you, thank you.
Wow,
I am, yes.
We do have you on the agenda to present, so if you would like to wait.
Yeah, that's what I was wondering.
But we've got you.
All right, I'm not gonna move between now and then, so I won't have to rest.
See? Moving right along. Any online comment? Seeing no online comment, we will close public comment and move. Actually, we're going to move right along to agenda number 4, which is the consent agenda. Any highlights from the consent agenda this evening?
Well, we have our big 4th of July packet, our special event notice. And just another thing to point out, we do have a letter of support for Clear Networks application for the advanced local middle mile funding opportunity. And that is to provide some much needed redundancy for fiber connection.
Great letter, Jim.
Oh, put a lot of time and effort into that. Thanks. Okay. Entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda.
So move.
Second.
There we go. We have a first and a second.
Yes.
Mr. Grosh,
Yes.
Mr. Brown,
Yeah.
Mr. Patterson. Yes. Mr. Wakefield.
Yes.
Tim Schiffman.
Yes.
Yes. All right, moving on to item number 5, staff reports. Any questions or comments regarding? Okay, moving along, agenda item number 6, presentations and proclamation. Page 126 in your packet. 6A. We have an incredible update from our very own Executive Director of the Region 9 Economic Development District of Southwest Colorado, Laura.
Thank you so much for letting me have some time on the agenda. We definitely try to visit a town council meeting every year, and I know several of you are new. So Laura Lewis Marchino, and I serve as the director of Region 9. I've been there 21 years. I've been the director for 8, and I don't know how that happened. The first thing I actually wanted to talk about before we get to this matrix in your packet is on your table by you is a Region 9 corporate annual report, and that's kind of our markets. And that is just for your information, but it gives you kind of a high level look at all of our funding. And what I did want to point out was our board of directors includes all 17 governments in the 5-county region. So we have the 5 counties, the 10 cities and towns, and the 2 tribes. And so you'll see on the back where it has the board, it had Gloria as our board member, and then Willie Tukey's actually the board chair. And he remains board chair, and Elizabeth has joined our board recently, and we will be bringing on Jim Harper as well, because we can have a representative and an alternate so that, you can position. So we're very excited about that. And then I really wanted to walk you through, we have a performance report that I believe is in your packet, and it's what we've done specifically in San Juan County and Silverton. And that is, in the year kind of 2025. So we provide that every year so that you can see how we're leveraging the membership dues that you give us and the work that we do in the region. And I'm just going to highlight a couple things. Yes, thank you. That is perfect. So on the first page, it basically gives you just what the San Juan County representatives are. And we also have a loan committee, and we have members from San Juan County on that loan committee as well. And so that's on, I believe, page 1. And then page 2, I just want to draw your attention to the inquiries, because you'll see at the top, funds leveraged. Silverton over the last 3 years has given us 6,657. That's divided by each year. So all 17 governments pay a little bit of membership dues so that we can say that all our governments are members supporting us, and then we leverage those. So that 6,000 leveraged just about $1 million. So we're really, really excited about that. So we wish our investment funds did as well. So I always have to show you that when it's not always as much every year, but you did have a larger investment than with the county and more leverage of those dollars. And if any of you want that nitty gritty, I am happy to do that, but I won't tonight. And then the table, we always track inquiries that come into our office that are specifically from Silverton and San Juan. And so what you'll see is 37 for San Juan and 46 for Silverton. It kind of breaks it down by our program areas. So we have a loan fund. We just get general inquiries. We get grant inquiries because we have a grant navigator on staff. And then opportunity zones, we've started putting that in because the opportunity zone boundaries are going to change. We go advocating for San Juan County, which is still eligible, but the current boundaries will fade away in 27, and then we're trying to get it continued for another 10 years. And then there's a highlight of our programs and services, which I won't really go through, except that we do provide grant support. If the community does not have a grant writer, we write grants for governments, but we primarily do a lot of grant research and try to go through all the letters everyone gets about what grants there are. And we base it on that matrix that I'm going to go over in more detail. We also have a loan program, and you'll see on page 3 a list of the current San Juan County loan clients. And that is public information. We don't tell you how they're paying, but we do tell you that we have loans with them. And I shouldn't have even said that, because that insinuates they're not paying. That is not the case. And then we also work on regional housing, broadband, transportation. So basically what Region 9 does is we kind of take the activities across that governments need and we're working on within their geographic area, but we need to connect you to Durango. And like with the broadband letter that you just approved, we're connecting us up to Uray so that there's actually redundancy through the county. And that's been a high priority forever, and I'm so excited. So let's hope they get the rec. So that's really all I wanted to highlight on that. And then I also in your agenda or in your packet is just information about this comprehensive economic development strategy that we do every 5 years. And we're kind of the keepers of what we call the CDAPs, of the Community Development Action Plans. And the reason for that is a lot of communities do their own community plans. You can have your compass, and that's great. But a lot of communities just don't do that on a consistent basis. Rico is like, we really don't want to hire a consultant for 235 people to do our community plan. So we become kind of that plan. And so this is just for your information that we do an economic development strategy for the region, and then we highlight kind of what the region's priorities are, and that's our marching orders. So broadband, housing, and every county has that as a priority. What we're seeing now, we've met with San Juan Development and the county, and we've done a community input survey. So we're basically trying to assess what are San Juan County's kind of growing priorities, and we look at it as a county level. Just so you know, public infrastructure is getting more and more important. Childcare has really grown in importance, and your county is not alone. And then drought, because of how it impacts so many different things from agriculture to tourism, obviously wildfire management, mitigation. So that's what we're seeing as high priorities. And I just wanted to pause and see if you felt, as the town of Silverton or as representatives of the town, those kind of economic priorities that you felt should be called out and make sure they're not lost. If you put those 4 in there, housing's still important, but it's stabilized a little bit. It's not coming up quite as hot as it was in our last update, and broadband is cooling off as well, which, that means we're making. So just if anyone has anything they want to throw out there. We've also been hearing economic diversification to make sure the county's not dependent on tourism as an industry, but being more diverse.
Mm-hmm.
And I know that's a hard lift with, the kind of geographic isolation, but that doesn't mean it shouldn't be a goal.
Housing is still probably up there for us, just after the housing authority meeting, but.
That's right. I was glad to sit in on that because we've worked with Anne and we're working on this housing needs assessment automation system so that you don't have to hire consultants to update your housing needs assessments every 5 years. We're going to do a kind of a rollout of that this if there is anything that you think of, because obviously you have a lot on your agenda tonight, but I just wanted to let you know that we are collecting that information and we're happy to take any priorities that the town has moving forward. So now this is what's called the CDAP, which is the Community Development Action Plan. And just as a quick overview, this is updated every 2 years. And a lot of state and federal funding sources require that a project be on a community plan in order for them to apply. So this is kind of it. And what you're seeing is the cliff notes, right? We know that each of these projects has a lot of stuff to it. But I was trying to save trees. So basically what this is in red is projects that are on here are from 2 years ago. And we're trying to determine which ones have been completed that we need to remove, which ones we just need to update and they're going to stay on, and then which ones are new that we want to add. And so all of the red that you see is input that we've already received. We have shown this to your town administrator. The county has reviewed it, the commissioners. This is not final by any means, but they've provided feedback. And then San Juan Development. This first page here, like number 4, we have not gotten feedback yet from the school, but obviously some of these projects are school specific. So we're going to talk with the school board and the superintendent on this. But I did want to draw your attention to the second page, and that would be starting on project number 7. And because of this being small, I'm getting old and I need glasses. So that second page, what you'll notice is on some of the partner columns, which is column F, is the town is listed. And so we just wanted you aware of what projects the town is listed as a partner. That doesn't necessarily mean a funding partner, it can, but it also means that you have interest in how this project progresses and proceeds. So in this update, and you don't have to do it tonight, but if you see something, call it out. We just want to make sure that the town is on what you want to be on and not on things you don't want it to be on. Number 9, for example, is workforce housing, which we just talked about. And we need to update that. But when we last did it, we were talking about establishing a housing authority, and that's been done. So there's some things that we will take off, and we actually will do a smaller matrix and we'll send it out of what's been completed and what came off from 2 years ago. And again, this is also our marching orders, because if there are projects that come up in all 5 counties, you know, on a broad scale, then that's what we are doing for our communities. Number 10, I just want to call out because it is the conveyance of the rural management parcel to the town. And the county basically said, we need to get this unstuck and completed. So that was in red. That's not necessarily sitting on you guys, but just so you know that the county obviously feels that that's really important. And I know the town does as well. And that has been on the plan for quite a while. No fault of anybody's. And then I wanted to go to the next page, which has 12 and 13, which is the Mullis Lake Master Plan. This is something that the town prioritized over probably the last 4 years, but I don't know how much you want this on the plan moving forward, or if there's specific projects that you want to call out. Because remember, this isn't just everything. This is supposed to be things that are within started or completed within 2 years, you know, so they're doable, and then we add them. So the Mullis Lake Master Plan is a little bit of a placeholder. And then if there's anything we need done within the next 2 years, we put it in there. And the only thing that came up was the dark sky designation for that area. But it also talks about establishing a marriage shelter, events shelter overlook, and eliminating camping on the overlook site. I don't know if that's something you guys care is on there, or if that's a project. So I would like permission to talk with staff on some of these things, but just, I know many of you are new, but if there's anything that you see on there, you know, please, I will leave my card and you can email me your thoughts. This has to be done, just so you know, by September. So we do have at least, you know, a 3-month window. And then just walking you through what I did want to note, number 14, improve drainage and water flow in Silverton. I know that's been one of your top priorities. The sewer system is also on this list. The Baker's Trail system is on this list, and we're updating that based on the progress that's been made, and we'll keep that on the list. And then there's also number 16, which we're going to try to split out from the actual sewer water projects with the town and have this be more of the corridor planning. So any input you have on that, we're not duplicating. And then there's a couple placeholders, because if something comes up we want to ask for grants for, we want them as placeholders, but we don't want them so pie in the sky that it's not practical project list. Number 18, I want to point out, because it's the Blair Street Improvement District, and we've made a lot of progress. I say we, sorry, I did not make any progress on it. You did. The Columbine, you know, the restrooms, the park improvements over the last couple of years, that was on here, and now updating it for kind of what the next steps are. There's a few that we're still outreaching. We'll outreach the Silverton Creative District, see if they really have a project that wants to be on the knot. Number 21 is the wastewater system rehabilitation. I know that's on your radar. And then 22 is the broadband fiber path. And since Region 9 is working on that with Clear Networks, we have in red kind of our updates that we're putting on there. And that's been on forever as well. So I just want to focus on this page, because it is in red and it's starting at 25. These are all new projects that have come up in these discussions that are proposed to be added. And some of these affect the town. So I definitely want input whether this is something that you want added or not. So for example, repaving Grain Street came out that we could put it under the Blair Street section. But again, is that something that the town is looking at over the next 2 years? Or, I mean, some of these come from the town or the county, or they come from other entities or Joe Public. But this gets approved by the county commissioners because it's a county document. So we don't want anything on here that the town is not okay with, right? And also you'll see there's a column C, you can't see the title, but it's rankings. the county can rank whether these are a high, medium, or low priority for the county. So just understand a town priority may be low for the county, but it's high for the town. And it's a way for the county. San Juan's not that way, but we do have counties that are like, we don't like that project, take it off. And we're like, no, you can't take it off, but you can rank it low. And we also know that if there's funding, a low ranked project is going to get done before a high project anyway. So it's more just to make our electeds happy. So, also on here is a shooting range that came up.
Oh, wow.
Sheriff Bruce has an initiative on that. So the town I do not have as a partner, but if you want to, let me know. We also have the Animas River Trail Quarter project that may be duplicating some pieces already in this plan, and we'll make sure of that. Ice skating rink development. We want to get that on the list in case there is a need for any grant funding, and I know that that's underway. Or at least it's definitely moving forward. Scenic byway toilets, that came up about installing a toilet at Eureka. So I don't know how involved the town is, but just FYI, that would be something that wants to be added. I didn't get good information, but something about there's 1,000 acres for Sunnyside that we want to do some projects with. And obviously I have to follow up on my end, but I'm just looking for red flags or yeses, thumbs up or thumbs down. And then the reuse of the Mayflower Mill Superfund site, that's something that the county was interested in, the tailings pond. And then a big one was sustaining the Silverton Child Care Center and making sure that every effort's made to do that. And the county has that as a project, but that's something I assume the town would want to be involved in some way and put them in as a part. But I can't do that without your permission. So how's that for the big overview and overwhelm, and let me know what you're thinking.
Wonderful. Questions? Comments? Anyone?
And this goes back, the final draft goes to the commissioners for approval. So I don't know how engaged the town wants to be on that, but I definitely want to outreach Lucy and other staff and just kind of work through some of these things. But as the elected body, I just want to make sure you're aware that this process is going on and if you have any input.
Perfect.
Jim, do you know about the rules like this, like the wedding?
I'm sorry?
Like the wedding structure, when did that go on there? You know?
I think those are some of Steve's.
Okay.
Some of Steve's dreams for that would, I don't know if in the next 2 years, but.
That's what I was gonna ask is like, is it better to have like a more realistic list than like?
That's always a balance.
I
know SJDA has also been talking about that.
Yeah, I think that Sarah's been part of that too, so.
What's the process for actually getting on the list?
Basically, we're looking at projects started or completed within 2 years.
But I mean, what's the actual process? So,
You are the process.
so Stephen
Town.
had something with the wedding. Did that go through the trustees?
If there was there's no proposal plan yet, it's just an idea. If that was something that we actually wanted to pursue, then we would bring that to the board and say, do you want us to invest in this idea, this project, which we could get help from Region 9 to do. But again, that's just I know that Steve and Sarah have just thrown that around.
It's like
it's
an
not anything.
Who do you hear from to put something on here?
Basically, it's if there's
Anybody?
momentum happening around a project like the ice skating rink, obviously there's momentum, Baker's Park.
Yeah.
But it's more, does the town want to be involved and listed as a partner? Or does the town have a project that they want on?
So anybody can go directly. Got you. Okay.
And it can be a lot of low ranking projects, but obviously we're trying not to just get, hey, we'd love to do something that has no momentum behind it.
Yeah.
Or there's been no action, because we just say, is this going to be anything within 2 years? And if they say no, then it's like, well, we can put it on the next update.
And I've taken just a first pass at this list and provided some updates. And so perhaps if Laura has direction to engage with staff Lucy, et cetera, to review this and we as staff can bring those proposed edits to the board. So you're in the loop and approve those additions or edits to the CDOT.
And just so you know, every region, there's 14 regions in Colorado. Guess which one we are? Just kidding. But the E is actually alignment with the statewide SEDS. And so that's why it kind of says, you know, we might have a Parks and Rec project and we're trying to align it with the state because that's important for funding, you know, when that comes out as well. So we're just kind of showing you that. And we just want to make sure any project that the town is considering within the next 2 years, we have a bucket for. We can add projects, like if you just had a one-off that came up, we can add them out of cycle. We just have to ask the commissioners to amend it. Kendall Mountain, that we were adding that to one of the other boxes because of the improvements planned, you know, to Kendall Mountain. And, you know, there's a lot of, I think it was the deck was just done and, you know, there's some other capital projects. We also will be adding any of the CDOT transportation projects that have been funded for the next few years that will impact Silverton. I know the bridge is probably the big one. So just things like that.
And can the town independently bring something to Region 9 to say, we all think this is a good, novel, new thing to do?
Yes. And hopefully before September, just so we can kind of get it into this document, because this is more of the formal process. But yes, I mean.
Did anybody ever come with like from a municipality with a economic like enterprise idea?
We've had, well, you know, there's been some that I'm trying to think, La Plata, what is it? There was a proposal to move the fairgrounds, which was denied. But I mean, there's sometimes initiatives that the county has not approved, you know, in their plan.
It's more like a startup incubator. You say, hey, we can foster new business through a branding, just throws out there. Through a branding enterprise as part of the town.
Yes. And we do have a bucket for San Juan development and some economic development pieces we could put in. We just try to make sure that this is something that would need grant funding. That would be another thing. We have a for-profit business that's going to come in and do what they do. It doesn't necessarily need to be on here. This is more for certain federal funding. It checks that box. If that helps define.
Yeah, something, yeah.
Well, thank you for letting me provide this update, and please, I'm fine with more red pen, just, you know, send it over. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Laura. You and Region 9 do so much for everybody.
Appreciate it. We like you.
All right, next item is 6B, Mile High Jeep Club. We want to pass this off to Steve first for an introduction.
All right, hello. So I've been speaking with Jeff Miller mainly throughout, starting in August of 2025 about Mile High Jeep Club and their event. And he was unable to have good connectivity tonight and has Jay, who is there in person, and from Montrose, available to speak on behalf of the club. And my understanding is he is very clued into all things Mile High Jeep Club related.
All right, sir. Okay, come on up.
Thank you, Steve. As Steve mentioned, Jeff Miller has been spearheading the conversations with Steve to bring our event back here. My name is Jay Maholka. I have been little history, Mile High Jeep Club. This is our 60th All for Fun this year. We're doing it at Gunnison County Fairgrounds. And so we've been doing it for a long time. My first time I went was 1990. My first time in Silverton was 1994. So makes me kind of old. But and my family has been raised going to this event. It's a family oriented event, and all three of my kids. In fact, I was single when I first went, and then got married, 3 kids, and now my kids have kids, and they're still coming to the event. So, kind of says a little bit about the event. This is a 4-wheel event. We allow Jeeps, Broncos, Toyotas, whatever. It's not strictly Jeeps, but they have to be 4-wheel, to go on the trails. So it's a very well organized event because we've been doing it for so long. So just a little of the highlights. We usually start on a Saturday. That's when everybody comes to camp. And the majority of people bring campers and tents and things like that and camp on site. But there are those that will rent hotels, Airbnbs, whatever, in the area and stay there. We have, because of the limited space that's here, in the past, we have limited it to 250 vehicles. We go by vehicles because we also have to understand how many are going to go on trails, how many trails we have, and trail leaders and all of that. And then there's about 50 vehicles of volunteers. So roughly 300 vehicles. On average, each vehicle has about 2.5 people. So we're in that 600, and if we go up a little bit from there, 600 to 750 people. We've had it as high as 1,000 people, but the space here won't accommodate that. We understand that. It's a week-long event. They show up on Saturday. We run trails on Sunday, Monday, Tuesday. Wednesday is vendor day. So we have our vendors come in and our sponsors and set up, and everybody stays around that day and we don't go on trails. So they're all that's a day off basically. So we have our vendors here. And then Thursday, Friday, we run trails, and Saturday, everybody leaves. So it's a Saturday to a Saturday event. We usually come in a couple days early as the committee to get things set up. We set up a big top. We have events every single night under the big top. We bring in porta potties. We usually provide 2 dinners, a breakfast and a lunch throughout the week. The rest, they're on their own. So a lot of in-town stuff. And that's the beauty of us coming in because we're here for a week. It's a captured audience. And people will spend a lot of money in town, especially this close. So I don't remember. I think the last time we were here was 10 or 12 years ago. I don't know exactly the year it was. But we used to come on a fairly regular basis, about every 4-year rotation. We would come to Silverton. And our people love it. We get people from this year, I think we're at like 24, 25 states. In the past, pre-COVID, we used to get upwards of 40 states people coming in. So it's definitely not just Colorado people. This is one of the bigger events in the country. As far as in Colorado, I think it is the biggest, and people love coming out here and enjoying Colorado as we all do. That's why we live here. So what we're proposing, I think, is next year, July 31st to August 7th, right? That week. And that's what Jeff has been talking to Steve about. We have to put together a proposal if you were to agree with those dates and for us to come. We have to put together a proposal. There's multiple proposals each year for the event for the next year. So this would be 27. And the Mile High Jeep Club board of directors will decide which proposal they'll take, and they'll make that decision in July. So next month. So we would know if this got accepted here or not. If not, we would want to push it to 28 and get on the calendar and try again. But we're very excited about Silverton, about the ability to come back here. And I know the people that they've been talking for a long time. Every year that I go to the event, and by the way, I'm the MC and the auctioneer. So everybody comes and talks to me. And they all ask about coming back to Silverton. So we would love to be here. I can answer any kind of detailed questions or anything more that you have. We didn't have time to get a presentation put together, but if you look up mhjc.org, that's our website, and you can get all kinds of information about Mile High Jeep Club, and there's a tab there that talks about Offer Fund and the history of it and all that. We do fundraisers, by the way, during that week. Our main fundraiser is for Children's Hospital. Last year, we raised approximately $18,000 to donate to them. And we do that each year. So that's part of the event. Anyway. By the way, we're a 501c3 nonprofit. So anything that we raise, we're a nonprofit. We use it for other events too, minor ones compared to this. This is our main event of each year's Offer Fund. Yes, sir.
Do you do any of the fundraisers that actually stay locally with the community?
We can absolutely do that. We have done that in the past. One year in Empire, part of the donations, a percentage of the donations went to their historical society. So we could certainly talk about that as an additional. Children's Hospital, we've had a long relationship with them, so we want to keep them as the primary one. But if there's a local organization or local facility or whatever that you would ask us to include, we would certainly include that.
Perfect.
Was anybody here last time we were here in Silverton, last time we were here for the event? You were? Okay.
That was my question, is why haven't you come back?
Sorry?
Why haven't you come back? Why has it been so long?
So my understanding, and I wasn't involved with it at the time, but I think that the last time we were supposed to be here, and I think it was 2014 or 15, right in that range, was when the fires were going on. And we had it all scheduled to come, and we canceled at the last minute. My understanding is all the porta potties in the area were with the firefighters, all the caterers catering to firefighters. And we were concerned about just being access into trails, and what was going on at that time, was obviously pretty dramatic for the town here. And we had to cancel at the last minute because of that. And so our relationship deteriorated, if you will, at that time. So it's taken a little while, I think, for all of us to kind of just say, well, let's relook at this, and hopefully you're all open to the idea again. So.
Is the Gold King mine spill?
Oh.
Yeah.
Well, neat. Thank you for your presentation.
Sure. Yeah. Any other questions?
Yeah. Any other questions, comments?
Yeah, I might have missed this, but when you were talking about the events for the week, was there a like give back portion to that? Like any sort of like trail cleanup, trail maintenance, road, something?
Yes, we typically work with whoever, the Forest Service, BLM, whoever's in the area. And of course, we have to get all our permits to run the trails and down. But we put together one day for volunteers to go to a designated trail and do cleanup. Don't know which trail that would be. It's whatever they tell us could use the work.
Sweet.
So that's usually what we do each year.
Cool.
Yeah.
Great, sir. I know that you're further down on the agenda as well. So if you'd like to hang around, you're more than welcome.
If you need me to, I'll hang around.
I'll leave that up to you.
Further down, it's the discussion portion.
Further down is.
Going through the agenda, it should only be about 5 more minutes, right?
You've been good. It's a great job tonight. All right. Well, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. All right, moving down to agenda item 7, business items. 7A, appointments of trustees to committees, boards, and commissions. Elizabeth.
Great, let me just bring up.
This is page 142 in your packet. Those of you following along. My numbers.
Numbers.
There we are.
So back in April, we made committee board appointments. But now that we have a full board, wanted to revisit this. We currently, our only vacant board is SWORD, our Southwest Opioid Response District. But just based on, I know not all these committees have met since we made appointments in April. But so to incorporate Holly into some of these, just want to revisit this and, get feedback from trustees if there are any seats that you would like to vacate, or if Holly has any particular interest in a committee, if there's any kind of room for negotiations there. I just wanted to discuss this again.
This is what they call horse trading. Oh, no, that's all I got. Yeah, so for the first time, we have a full board. I'm very excited. And I know that we have only one vacancy, but maybe there's someone who might want to trade or might be interested in something different, and here's your chance.
Yeah, and if anyone's feeling like they perhaps overcommitted and want to free up their schedules a little bit, we kind of aim for that, maybe 3 to 5, maybe 5 on the high end committees per trustee. So if folks are needing any sort of relief in their schedules, this might be a time to discuss that. And if it'd be useful to go committee by committee, rather than just having folks speak up, we can certainly do that.
I'm curious to hear what Holly is interested in.
Yeah. Are there any committee that speaks?
This is the horse trading.
I mean, sorry, I'm using your computer.
Yeah, go for it.
Mine's so small. I don't. I think, I'm open to a lot of these. So there's that. Did that answer your question?
I see that there's not one on chamber board, is that right?
We have,
I do sit on that.
Aren't you already on that?
I do. Board.
Get to check both boxes with that.
yeah,
So,
Because that's just like reporting it back on what the chamber discussed, right?
yeah.
To the role.
And vice versa.
Yeah.
That could work, right?
Also, then actually, does that work? I think that works.
I think it could work.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's,
How'd you do
all
that?
right, be the
There's
next
one.
You're
there.
already doing it.
Does anyone feel overcommitted? Does anyone wanna?
You can take my public safety if you like. Not quite. But I was supposed to do public utilities, but it's all right.
You're the alternate.
I don't recall the conversation entirely.
Mhm.
Right.
Would you like to be the alternate for the historic review committee?
Who, me?
Yeah.
Oh, sure.
Oh, I thought that's what you meant about the alternate.
Oh, no, he was just saying on the
Ah,
utilities, he's the alternate for the public utilities.
That one's pretty fun. Show and tell. We go on field trips
For which one?
for public utilities. Good time.
Fun.
very.
I'm not joking.
Holly does that SWORD committee, which that's, it meets monthly. It's
In person,
on Zoom.
on Zoom.
Yeah.
Sure, I can fill that seat.
Are you was on that last year?
We're doing all of it for public utility and historic.
That was a silly. Actually.
What?
Just wanted to confirm if for public utilities, or if that was public safety, either wanting to give up your public safety seat or your public utilities alternate.
I'm willing to give the public safety, the public utility, I can be an alternate or on it, whatever.
Okay. So if that's,
Safety. What is it?
so
All monitored.
Get your little badge.
No.
Like the crossing guard,
Yeah.
down crossing guard. Honestly, we need one of those.
That I believe has not met within the last 2 years, so it's.
Yes, I know.
Possibly.
Blue, it's on all the blue text above that, like on page.
Oh, yeah, okay,
Yeah.
thanks.
Enforcement officer.
I can put you on the public safety if it sounds like that works for.
Can take that one.
Can I just ask the sword committee? Or we, I don't quite understand that. What are we doing there?
Yeah, so it's a regional group. It's housed within the Region 9 Economic Development District. And they're the group that is responsible for the decision-making for the allocation of opioid settlement dollars for programming throughout the region.
We take part in in the allocation of funds for that?
Yes, that group does.
But do we receive funds or are we just?
Yeah, I think, and please, if you have more details, I believe San Juan County, we don't get a large chunk. But yeah, if you have anything to add.
I think, because Amy was on this before, and she was really excited about it because some of her programming with students uses sword funding for like education, right? From what I'm remembering. So
That's separate, that's.
well, not the tobacco, but I think it's some of her funding is from sword. I think it's.
Maybe we just need to look at are we actively participating?
And we have a vested interest in it. Is it actually legitimate for us to be involved?
Yeah, it is. It is. Mhm.
Sounds like I still don't get a great explanation of where we stand with it though. Like what is our even process that we're doing with engaging with that?
And yeah, I will say, I think Region 9, so my understanding is that as of recently, there's been a change in the director of the district. So I believe this group is now getting up to speed on meeting monthly again. And it's, this group of representatives from multiple counties within Southwest Colorado are making determinations on prioritizing projects. So I think it is important for the town, the San Juan County, to have that voice, to have that seat at the table, to help advocate for projects in our area.
Okay. All right. This seems like we're not in tune with actively being engaged with that right now. So if we're going to have someone on the committee, I think we need to understand what that role is.
And Holly's automatically signed up for the Board of Adjustments and the Housing Authorities.
Yes.
So there's that.
There's that.
Yeah.
Oh, it sounds like it's not for teaching, I was wrong, but for counseling and opioid support.
So I guess if I join this board and then I'm like, what am I doing here?
I think you're actually, would be a voting member.
Yeah.
It's not person of the funds, like, you're not just there to.
Yeah, and so that would be like advocating for what funds come here.
Mhm.
Okay. I'm fine to do it.
Okay, awesome.
Yeah.
The chamber, public safety, alternate and sword.
Does that feel good? Everyone? Okay.
When is the cemetery committee last met?
I want actually Carl to answer your question. I would sit on that board. Yes.
I'm working to get that one revamped.
To get
So
it-
if you are interested in that, that would be great.
I have a to-do list on my phone and the only thing I haven't completed is buy cemetery plot.
Yes. I can help you with that.
And
Or thinking.
currently sitting on the cemetery committee, so that's like to relinquish to Holly, if that's a desire to.
Yeah, if you're passionate about that, then I'm happy to relinquish that. that would leave me with only two in addition to Board of Adjustments and Housing Authority. Want to make sure I'm
I think,
keeping up my end of the bargain here.
Seems like
well, one of mine, I already sit on the board before this anyway, for the chamber.
So that was not like much for you, is what you're
I
saying.
was doing it
Yeah.
anyway.
Yeah.
But if you, I don't want to take your spot, so.
I'm not too passionate about it.
Cool.
So it needed to be filled and I was happy to help out, so. Go for it.
Trade you the cemetery for sword. Just kidding. Just kidding.
No.
I'm kidding. I'm just.
Like, you're not gonna die if you give it up.
No.
Okay, good. No.
Making a cemetery
I
joke.
was reaching, okay.
No, he's whispering them all the time.
So good. All right, so how do we feel? We're feeling good about this. Perfect.
You gotta laugh at us, Steve.
Steve, I appreciate you.
Need a motion?
Yes, a motion to appoint.
Hey,
I move to appoint Holly Huebner to the Southwest Opiate Response District's Council and the Cemetery Committee.
Public safety also.
Alternatives.
And Chamber of Commerce.
And alternate for Public Safety Committee and town representative on the Chamber of Commerce Board.
Thank you.
Got 4 parts there.
Trustee Huber.
Can I ask a
Sure.
yep,
clarifying question? Which one, am I an alternate for one of them?
Public safety.
Okay, got it. Okay, yep, yes.
Trustee Brush.
Yes.
Trustee Brown.
Yes.
Trustee Halverson. Yes. Trustee Greenfield.
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Schaefer.
Yes.
Mayor Roper.
yes. Perfect. Carries. All right, continuing on, 7B. Resolution 2026-40. A resolution allocating $1,495.15 in unbudgeted funds to purchase a generator.
So at our June 8th regular meeting, the board approved entering into intergovernmental agreement with San Juan County to purchase our emergency generator. And this resolution is to allocate those funds, since it's an unbudgeted item, to make that purchase. And in the memo, I've outlined, and this is exactly what was in the intergovernmental agreement, but our payment schedule, what we'll be paying back to the county, and the interest that we'll be paying.
And this went to the finance committee, so went through those.
Yes, so let's see here. Yes, we brought this.
It was a while ago.
It was, yeah. What has changed is that we were initially looking at funding this or financing through the Wagner rentals, Wagner Cat Rentals. The change since then is that we're able to finance this through the county.
Giving us a better rate.
Mhm.
And this is like a used trailer mounted unit, is that correct?
Yep. Not brand new. It's got some hours on it, but Wagner's went through it and it is in good condition. So I'm happy with it.
And I would assume these funds will become budgeted next year in 2028 and 2029.
Exactly, yes.
Perfect. Anyone want to make a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve resolution 2026-14, a resolution allocating $30,495.15 to unbudgeted funds to purchase a generator.
Second.
Beautiful. Roll call, please.
Trustee Huber.
Yes.
Trustee Brush.
Yes.
Trustee Brown.
Yes.
Trustee Halverson.
Yes.
Trustee Greenfield.
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Schaefer.
Yes.
Mayor Roper.
Yes. We're moving on to 7C. which is congressionally directed spending.
The town applied for congressionally directed spending last year. And it was awarded earlier this year to the tune of $2.366 million. When the town submitted that application, we had a preliminary engineering report from Element Engineering that outlined wastewater treatment plant improvements that specifically identified the transition to a mechanical treatment plant. That a very large price tag to the tune of about 18 million was attached to those plans. Since then, the town has engaged with GMS Engineering for a second preliminary engineering report. And John has been in conversation, and we'll have an update later on how the progress toward that second engineering report is going. But that second engineering report will recommend or outline the preservation of our current lagoon system at a significant cost savings. So the CDS application outlined was based on that preliminary engineering report, the assumption that we'd be moving toward a mechanical plant. And therefore, the application outlined rehabilitating our current lagoon system to augmentation ponds for storage. Since we'll no longer be pursuing that route, we have to retain our lagoon system. So what we need to do in order to be able to still utilize the 2.366 million from the congressionally directed spending award is to submit a technical correction request where we'll be modifying our project from augmentation to water infrastructure improvement. Even though we do not have, and we will not have that final engineering report from GMS by July 15th, had conversations with John and feel confident in moving forward and submitting that request letter to the EPA. So the EPA is administering the congressionally directed spending via community grant. So we're seeking input on first reaching out to our congressional sponsors to confirm that we will be moving forward with this request, and then direction to go ahead, submit this request by July 15th to the EPA. At that point, the EPA will route it to their HQ in DC, and it will have to go through the Congressional Appropriations Committee, which is estimated to take anywhere from 3 to 6 months. So we would like to get this process moving so that when we get our CDPHE permit limits and we have that second preliminary engineering report, we're ready to hit the ground running.
Can I just clarify, this is essentially a grant, correct?
Correct, yeah. It's an award. We still technically have to apply through the EPA's grant, their community grant program. But yeah, this is funding that has been earmarked for this project.
Perfect. Any other comments, questions? Perfect. We just need direction to meet with congressional sponsors. Have we provided adequate direction?
Yeah.
Yay, perfect. All right. Moving on to agenda 8. Discussion and direction items. 8A, Mile High Jeep Club, Kendall Mountain rental rate. Steve. Guide us.
Yes, so an attachment to the memo had a price breakdown for you all. And at the full rate, you've got 23,500 for this rental with the estimated figures of Jeeps and humans and camping use. in initial conversations or communications with Jeff, he kind of threw out a number around 7,900 or so and citing some of the externality benefits to the community as to why that rate would say perhaps be appropriate. I think it was interesting the explanation on sort of this lapse in presence here by the Mile High Jeep Club. A beauty of this to me and a spur to entertain this discussion was, well, to have all these folks locked in or, committing to visiting Silverton. If you have a particularly smoky fire season or other unforecasted, say, event, I just kind of was checking on, okay, so 25% is due up front, is non-refundable. So 25% of that 23.5 is 5,875. 25% of, say, 14,000, which would be assumption of each weekend being booked out at the 3-day minimum, is 3,500. So not a huge gap there. The event is a fee. There is a fee for the event and attending. Jeff estimated that to be at $300 to $350. And that actually came in before sending this memo over, or after sending the memo over, or developing the what these price points are. So I think being, certainly August is preferable to July. And being the first week of August, we're still quite busy. So in entertaining any kind of discount, which there is already the 25% discount where it qualifies for the 501c3 status. And that's kind of just those weekdays in the middle. And it goes from 4,000 to 3,000 in that breakdown. It seems appropriate at $94 per estimated vehicle that the 23,500 is not an astronomical figure, or one that really seems fair. So in entertaining, say, a possible quieter time of year, say in September, I think that would certainly allow for more wiggle room in discussing discounts. But I also am bringing this to you. Yeah.
Thank you, Steve. Any questions for Steve?
Do you have any sense of what the camping or night volume is as it stands in that week?
Allow camping. We don't typically just allow camping unless it's.
Those events.
Yeah, we only allow camping when it's involved with an event.
Potentially displace all.
It's not, we don't allow people to just camp over it.
Any sense of what the event volume is, or what we brought in the past in the late summer?
We're typically booked every weekend at Kendall for weddings.
I
don't know how many of them are camping.
All booked. So would we be displacing 2 of those events then over that week? Both weekends?
So it'd be 6 days with a 3-day minimum for 2 weekends.
So would we really want to lock in at least covering what historically we've collected in those 2 weekends?
It would be 14,000 for those 2 weekends with a smaller, wedding party with less, much reduced impact, right? If you've got a small wedding party versus
right minus the camping.
I think $100 for per, is that right? $100 per vehicle for the entire week is sort of almost a giveaway. I mean, it sounds like a lot in the end, but on a per vehicle cost, that's.
Well, that's their cost that they're charging. That's not the town isn't charging that, right?
at an estimated 250 Jeeps at $23,500, that comes out to $94 per vehicle.
That would be like what our breakdown would be.
Gotcha, okay.
Yeah, so.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think $100 or $94 is very reasonable. For the entire week. If I were to keep on and wanted to come to Silverton.
Steve, for a camping group this large, did we have to bring in like porta potties? How'd that work?
They provide
I
it,
think they bring their own.
he said.
Missed that?
Yeah, and they'll have 2 roll-off dumpsters. Is what I'm told, and that's kind of how it's looked in the past. They provide porta potties, the roll-off dumpsters. I had not heard about the big top tent, sort of in the middle. They do utilize historically north of the ice rink, which now has now become sort of, it's not where we're allowing camping these days. So that would be a little bit of a variance in accommodating them to how they've been accommodated in the past.
I assume the September wouldn't work for this group because it sounds like it's family friendly. So kids are probably back at school is what I suspect.
That's a good. Yeah, because I pushed that, but they came with 2 weeks in July and then the week in August, the first week of August, and felt, more we can steer away from July is probably better, just for everybody's sake.
And we'll be allocating more town resources, throughout that week, would you say, to help accommodate anything, or is this? I'm thinking that extra 10, if we lost out on the 2 weekends of the 14,000, we're gonna collect 24, there's a 10,000 delta there. If we're actually having additional services that we have to offer from our staff to accommodate the entire week of activities,
That 10,000.
I would think would cover that. That's what you hope.
Yeah, I gather they're relatively self-sustained over there, that island. They have used the depot area for trailer parking in the past. Vacated trailers by the Jeep is now not on the trailer. That's an accommodation that's been made.
I imagine they might need some barricades, but other than that, it should be pretty minimal based on everything that they come in with.
And there is historic precedent for folks camping over there and driving over there where traditionally now they're not, but yeah, we have done that in the past. And this is a 2-parter, correct? 1, we're giving direction for the actual footprint of the event. 2, we're going to give staff recommendation and direction for the dollar amount.
Correct.
Okay. We're on.
Question for you. You guys have insurance for liability, et cetera, for.
Yes, sir. Yep.
Carl, Lindsay. You're good?
Yeah, I'm like torn. It's like Kendall's our biggest moneymaker in the summer. But getting this group here would be pretty fantastic. It sounds like there's a little bit of a courting process happening right now, so.
All right.
Can I ask one question? I feel the same way. I think we know what we got and we know it's valuable because we have bookings consistently on these dates and we want to maximize our value for our community. Getting this group here is also value for our community. So.
Yeah, a wedding isn't bringing in that many people on a weekend and they're not usually going around town spending money.
Yeah, I think having this big of a group here.
Is there an option to come back the year after, make an annual event?
It sounds like they're on a 4-year cycle for where they go.
That's what I have to say.
Like he said that.
He said.
What was the question?
Is there an option to, come back on an annual or have other events throughout the year that would come back in town?
No, and you're right. We're typically on sort of a 4-year. The idea is to, when we're trying to attract people from out of state, we want to move the event around. So we have an Empire in Buena Vista, Gunnison, which we haven't been for a while, down here. So the commitment would at best would be about every 4 years, we want to come back.
That way they're not running the same trails every year.
Chris?
Well, with the heavier impact, it doesn't seem like we would need to come all the way down to our bare minimum of 14K there. And it seems like, you know, I don't know operationally what it's going to cost, but if it's, you know, the event rental piece is $100 a rig and they're bringing in over $300 a rig in revenues, you know, I don't know what other costs and how much room that gives them to, you know, continue to fund their nonprofit. So I don't know where, if we want to entertain anything less than this proposed event cost, or if we're happy right where it sits at 23,500. I guess I'm more interested in hearing what the rest of the board thinks on that.
I think the word of mouth advertising, we're seeing.
Absolutely.
All the people coming in, spread the word on how great Silverton is.
That's a lot of people. That's a lot of extra people for a week, which is great.
Yeah, because he said what, 2.5 people per vehicle and you're
Like
2.5? I don't know.
625 people.
Yeah, I would like to see like us come to a, you know, a real discount that's a good faith offer that's not
Yeah.
massive. That's my feeling.
In the middle of the 23.5 and 14.
Well, but what they proposed or what they had said for their budget was, what did you say? 10?
7,900.
7?
Yeah, and I felt that was, I spoke to that as being something that I didn't feel would be considered. And that just pretty quickly right off the cuff with 14,000 relatively guaranteed in wedding revenue with smaller parties and impact on each weekend. That, you know, that certainly wouldn't, you know, would be the bottom. And then when you break it down to per vehicle, that's where it kind of struck me as a pretty fair and reasonable rate, even at the giving the 25% off for the non-local nonprofit during the days where that's applicable. And then an estimated 300 to 350 per vehicle as a, you know, event fee. And I gather from Jay's presentation, and Jay, you can speak to this, the fundraising is a separate piece. That's not part of the entry fee.
Correct, yeah.
Okay.
A 25% discount on the 23.5 would be 17,625.
There's only days that would be applicable. There's no discount during weekend days. So in that breakdown attachment,
But that's like, could we,
So that would just be the.
That would be an additional.
so it ends up taking 1,000 off. Like if it wasn't a nonprofit, it would be 24.5. Does that
There
make
is a
sense?
trade-off. There is a trade-off for this event. Going back to 2015, if memory serves, I think it was 3,000 or 3,500 for the week. Obviously, inflation and years and new schedules for pricing have to be factored in. But I'd like to see us be competitive in our offer. I'd like to see that.
you said 3,000?
I'd hate to see you guys go another 10 years without coming back.
Jim, what did you say it was?
It's like 3,000 or 3,500, but that was, again, 11 years ago.
Hold on. Yeah.
Yeah.
Kind of like gauge with that.
So I'm trying to provide a little perspective.
Do we agree that we don't want to go below our guaranteed income anyways. So I think if we're entertaining a discount, I think we're just trying to land on what is reasonable and hopefully competitive for them to consider.
Which is that 14?
Which the staff recommends a reduced rate of $14,000.
So real quick,
I don't know that I recommended 14,000. I
No
will
less.
say that.
Yeah, no run.
I apologize.
I have a very bottom line there. I will note that the community center is mainly for storage, is my understanding. So there is not, large gatherings going on inside. So really the impact is on the land, more so than the infrastructure and the building. It certainly cuts the community center, say, out for, other rentals, and is very much a part of this package because of that. So, but
if you
feel like that's useful information to know that it's mainly storage, is my understanding.
If you just look at the potential of the 300 per vehicle, say that's just the minimum. And you balance that against 24,000 versus 14,000, there's about a 6% difference there. If you drop from 24 down to 14, but you take it in relation to the entire package, you're only talking about 6%. So to get the deal, if it helps us to 14,000, all we're giving up 6%. I'd rather close that deal.
What do you mean you're only giving up 6%?
So the total,
like the difference that you're giving 9,000 off of 23, that's like.
but if you look at the total, if say they decide not to come because of the price.
$300 a vehicle is what they're charging their people.
Oh, wait, I'm sorry. I thought that was what they estimated bringing back into.
No.
That's what they're charging for their.
Okay, all right, disregard everything I said.
No.
Understood that.
Now, the other, economic impact of
That's what I was trying to get.
down for sure.
I'm just looking at, it seems like they're charging $375 per vehicle for this year.
Yeah.
So I'm guessing it won't go down for next year.
Do you have any stats on economic impact on the towns that you're in?
Do not.
Okay.
We've tried to do that, just haven't been able to hit it right now.
All right. Well, that's kind of what I was getting at. I was trying to balance against a bigger picture of the general economic impact that week, which is sort of a guess.
There's also the community give back portion,
Yeah.
that sounds like usually is trails, but could also offset or like be, if we're looking at what we get from this, if it's not monetary, having it.
The other question about the ability to fundraise for something locally, like the early learning center. So we could put that, out there and say, hey, we need a local fundraising event. And it went directed at one of our really neat places.
I mean, if Steve's concerned about the land, maybe that can be like around Kendall, like seeing what they could support with maintenance. I know it's like not going through BLM or Forest Service, but could be an option there. Trails that do need work. What if we did like just the 25% discount, no matter what week, too?
If you just applied the 25% to all of the days, then it would be that 17,625.
Yeah.
For the full. No difference in rate whether it's Saturday or Wednesday.
Well, that would be an additional 25% off these other days that are already discounted. Right.
I think it'd probably just be a flat.
Oh, I was applying that 25% to this 23.5. I don't know if that's.
Yeah, there's already some discounting in there just due to the nonprofit status, but not to say that that's not a fine logic. I just want to make sure we're all on the same.
Yeah, no, you're right. You're correct.
Yeah. Oh, cool.
No, I just think that to be clear that this is also an organization that we typically wouldn't give a nonprofit discount to, as it's not based
It's not a local nonprofit, so therefore we also would not typically.
But we're already offering, we've already baked that in. It's
Mhm.
already a $1,000 discount built into the cost. Not that I'm unhappy about that, just
Yeah.
clarifying.
In my mind, like meeting them in the middle of these two numbers that we're talking about would seem to be pretty competitive. And to put it in a retail sense, you're hoping which is not retail, but your rental rate based on your revenue is anywhere in that 18 to 20%. That's what you're hoping to have when, at least I've run bike shops. That's kind of what our target is, right? Well, that ends up being kind of in the neighborhood of what I'm saying, which, if we split the difference of the 14 grand and the 23.5, that's 9 grand or 9,500, excuse me. So you put that 4750 on top of the 14,000 number. And so what, 18,750? Do we think that might be competitive? And is that a good faith, kind of like landing an area that they should be able to justify the rent rate based on how much it sounds like they're gonna revenue? At $93,000, 250 times 375 is 93,750. I don't know. That's how my mind works on it, but I'm totally open-minded to other logic.
Compelling argument.
So what was the final number you were suggesting? I got lost.
19, right?
18,750.
Yeah, 18,750, which just splits the difference between, what we're already discounting and then what we think we'll guarantee to make. And then to use my poor retail example, 20% of $93,000 is 18,600. So it's like pretty close if we think that's even a reasonable, logic of, they still have a lot of margin to, spend, other costs that they're going to incur and then end up with, hopefully a profit that comes into their, budget for all the things they do with their nonprofit.
Sounds a good logic. Holly?
Are you gonna take this number back, Steve, as a negotiating tool, or is this gonna be etched in stone? Mhm.
I kind of took this as, here's the number for them to take to their board of directors in July.
Or take it or leave it off there.
Well, I'd hate to lose the event over a couple $1,000, but I will leave it to the board. I understand it's for all of us to vote on and give direction, but
Well, I think I think we're all aligned there. I don't know, I am, but like, what would you want to do, Jim, to figure out where there's a good middle?
I would just say 15. That would be me.
Yeah, I think we're splitting hairs and there's actually a big win for this potentially. And I think the big win is pretty big. And the town needs that volume in that week. Some people come early, some people stay late. And every restaurant hopefully benefits. And if we're debating a couple $1,000.
Yeah, especially if we're comparing it against a wedding weekend where they're not staying.
Just talking 3 days.
Yeah, totally.
And out.
And then
This is a healthy discussion, so
Now make it really fun for them to come in, like being able to do other times. So you guys everyone that owns the place, your events, get them to come in. You're pretty good at that.
I'd totally be fine with that.
I think we say 14,500, that's the cost for the community center. It already includes that $1,000 discount for the nonprofit status. And we're basically saying like, we are providing you this $9,000 camping for free for the week. I think that's a compelling argument for them.
Or else, my man. All right, I like it. 14.5.
Is there any
I
way?
think on the stone piece, Jim, I'm also, I said, yeah, I guess that's in stone, timing wise. I'd look to Jay a little bit on when that board of directors would need a final number, and, I'm kind of always open to continuing conversation. So if that, if it means, if you all feel that having a number that you would be happy to then, readdress at the next meeting. Um, also wanted to put that on the table. So
Feel like we're.
Yeah, 14.5.
I like,
5.
It's a good rate to do it.
right on. So we give direction on that. Then we're also giving direction for the camping footprint, correct? And we
yes,
gave direction to approve that. I believe we have, but I want to double check.
Being on 14.5 and the footprint proposed.
Yes, ma'am. Anyone else has anything to say? All right. Action is given.
Excellent.
Thank you much. Oh, if there's anything else, add it.
No.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Steve.
thank you all.
And thank you, Jay, for being here. Thank you, sir.
Hope to see you again.
We're moving on to 8B. Sarkis, John, giving us an update.
Update, engineering update. So, we engaged GMS, in March of this year, and, one of their, personnel come up and took a lengthy tour and walked through it and kind of showed, what issues we're anticipating. And also this piggybacks with what Elizabeth, with the congressional spending and, element engineering, that, high price tag that we received on that one. So I really wanted to take another, fresh look at this. And so actually was able to have a progress update on June 11th with GMS, and it was a good update. They are looking at everything. One of the big ones that they're looking at is our discharge point, and that would affect our permit limits when we get our permit limits. So when we do, and if we go forward with this, those would change probably pretty fast, because their direction is, that discharge point would be at the confluence of the Animas and Mineral Creek. And because of Mineral Creek's clarity or lack thereof, that would change, our permit limits. So I did, their next step is contacting, Colorado Department of Public Health and Environment and engaging in some of those conversations to look to see what it would take to change those discharge points, and that affects our permit limits. They've also taken a deep dive. That manifold pipe between 1 and 2 is busted, and that's not helping with the circulation. And so that, they were also going to talk to CDPHE on that. Anytime you make a change to a process that's been approved, they like to be in the middle of it. And this is not a process change. This is a repair. So they were going to really stress that. And when they get the meeting set up, I will probably be involved in those meetings with CDPHE to explain to them, this is not a process change. This is a repair. So that should help long run too, which not being such a big ticket item to repair that. Also, one of the big things on my list down there is our contact chamber is in bad shape. And I'd really push the issue of them looking at the possibility of going with the UV. And that's the disinfection process before it gets discharged to the river. That there would help two things. Number one, we wouldn't have to use chemicals down there. And right now we do. So that's a kind of always cautious with staff, being careful with chlorine gas. That's what we used to, that's also a process change. And the UV is more and more wastewater treatment plants are going to UV. It is more economical and it does its job with killing the bugs before it is discharged. So overall, you know, they're still doing stuff internally and the next couple months will be putting those price tags on everything. And then hopefully she was hoping for August. My guess is probably early September. They will have those numbers and she is dying to come back and present in person and talk about the options that they've come up with. So very good meeting overall. Very, very happy that we've engaged GMS to go down this road. I believe it's money well spent for another look. And, you know, even if it's who knows, we might get really lucky and have a $10,000 cost, $10 million cost saving, not 10,000. Or, you know, but I think this really plays into with the congressional spending that we've got 2.3 already kind of wrapped up to start down there. So I think everything's kind of moving at a good space. And for the new board members, if you ever want to take a field trip and come down, I will be more than happy to give you a tour. And the last thing on there is staff, we are continuing to clean that site up. It's been out of sight, out of mind for the last 40 years. And whatever happens down there, we're going to have room. And so I'm trying to be very proactive in front of it, get all this pre-done so that when we are able to say go, we can go and we're not going, well, what do we do with this pile? What do we do with that pile? So that's in our spare time, we're a good cleaning crew down there. So, yeah. Any questions?
Any questions? Way to go. Keep it going.
Thank you.
Committee reports. 9A, Planning Commission. It's me. Tuesday, June 16th, we had a regional planning commission meeting. We discussed the Cascade Meadows Metropolitan District. That is the functioning body for their water and sewer for the 72 unit development that's going in down on the south end of the county, just south Cascade Village. The second part of the meeting, which was pretty much the entire meeting, was the San Juan County draft land use amendments, where we had discussed land use amendments, 100 some odd pages worth. It was great. Good discussion. Very good discussion, actually. Yeah, that was it. Fun. 9B, a special meeting. We had two meetings. Anyone else can jump in if you like. We had two special meetings on Monday, June 15th. It was our special meeting, which was a resolution 2026-13, where we discussed the establishing stage 1 fire, correct? And then we talked about the special improvement district construction bids. And then part B, or part C, I should say, which was the joint town county meeting regarding the Silverton Housing Authority. And our field trip over to Annville to see the new homes over there. It's a lot of fun. Anyone else have anything to add? Great meetings, a lot of fun. Oh, okay. Fantastic.
Yeah, great meeting.
There you go. Cool. Item number 10, do we have anything to discuss? Any future agenda items?
A list? I'm just kidding.
You got your list from?
Putting you on the spot.
Like, wow. I actually was gonna applaud Chris. He did a great job the last meeting for not using acronyms. I noticed he did it like 3 times. You said the full thing, and we just got training that we were supposed to not use acronyms anymore.
Oh, Chris.
Chris. I was hearing Chris and I would have said it.
Anyone else? Carl, Chris?
It's so good to be here with the full board.
I love our full board. I'm very happy. You have anything to add?
No,
You're happy to be here?
I'm so happy.
Don't want to be anywhere else, do you?
No.
There you go. Doc?
No, I'm just looking for the budget season.
Great. I only have one thing, and it's gonna be one thing, it's gonna be super quick. I've been having discussions with folks around town with regards to data centers. And I would really like to see on a future agenda some sort of verbiage that we can incorporate into our code. And having it there discouraging, if not all out.
We could probably pass an ordinance that says,
I would really like to see that.
yeah, I'm pretty sure we have an ordinance that bans fast food chains, so if we can do that, we can probably pass an ordinance.
Is there a risk? We just don't wanna.
Well, there seems to be a risk according to our federal government.
Water risk.
Any Superfund site, which we're very close to, neighboring, would automatically be fast tracked if there were any interests down the road. We have mines that have an ambient temperature of 46 to 47 degrees all year long, plus an abundance of water, which are all things.
Yeah.
And I would just, this is me just saying it. No one has to agree with it, but I would just like to see something that we can, just to have it on the books. I think it's better to have it and not need it than down the road to need it, not have it and get blindsided.
Amen.
Okay.
You think we'd get the county to be interested in that too?
I think the county might. I don't know.
We can take the issue.
Interesting. I think we can take the initiative. Look at Carl. All right, that's it. That's all I had. Anything else? No, we can't get too crazy yet. Still have to open it back up to public comment. Oh my goodness. And going online, seeing none there, closing public comment. That was real quick. All right, it is 7:55 PM and I adjourn this meeting of the Silverton Board of Trustees.
All right, good night, guys.
Thank you. Thank you, Clay. Thank you, Steve. Thank you, everyone.
Up in Western Pennsylvania. Steelers were there.